in at the Frank Lloyd Wright School of Architecture as the director of the program, I was around a lot of great design. I mean, my office in Wisconsin was Frank Lloyd Wright's old drafting studio, and tours would go through. So I was surrounded by his buildings, by his furniture, by all of his work. And that really got me thinking about design thinking. I get a lot of ideas. Again, at Seed Spot, I was talking with a guy named Park Howell, and he's a great marketing guy who talks about story branding. And he came up with the word vagina gym. So he says, what you have is a vagina gym. And so, yeah, it's a weight system that one uses for 5 minutes, 3 times a week. That's how we've reduced the amount of time doing the exercise. Doctors tell you to exercise 3 times a day, every day. But when you add weight, the way that we added weight, it reduces it to 5 minutes, 3 times a week, which saves women time. And because you add weight to your Kegel routine, and it's not just isometric, you do it for less time and you target the right muscles automatically. So it's basically just like you would go to the gym and lift up a weight with your bicep or anything. You know, it's muscle down there, not just hair and skin. And, you know, the device just, you know, is inserted in the body. I have one here. The device is inserted in the body and the weight system hangs outside the body. This is the novel part that's patent pending. And, you know, it was creating this intricate weight system that stacks that took so much time to get the locking system and the design just right and to figure that out. And so this dynamic weight is kind of like a Bosu ball balance type thing. And then resisting the weight is, you know, weight resistance. And so a woman reflexively, you know, uses this to hold on to it, to resist gravity for 5 minutes. And she gets super strong really quickly. And the best part is, you know, customers write me and say, you know, they're not leaking when they cough or sneeze. They can go dancing again. They can join the Ironman and run farther and run faster and compete in sports. So, you know, there's a lot to it, and it's important. So it's not a trivial invention and it's not a trivial problem. But, you know, but part of the problem with starting this company in the environment is, you know, the resistance to talking about these things. So I had to kind of tackle the taboo nature of it because it's so important. So I had to do some culture building and some taboo destroying whilst I was trying to build a product and get customers and investors. So, but I think a lot of people have different challenges, you know, solving a problem that people aren't familiar with, or they're comfortable with the status quo. I mean, I'm not the only one with challenges like that. When I heard about the fact that women have trouble with their pelvic floor, and here I was in my 40s and I was totally unaware of that. But when I found out most women are walking around with problems, but they don't tell anyone, and they stop doing the things they love, you know, the feminist side of me was like, wait a minute, women are being held back by something and this is avoidable? Okay, let me do something about it. So when I looked at the research, it was stunning that, you know, 75% of women have problems from their pelvic floor, and it was equally stunning that Kegel exercise works if they do it properly. So then my big question was, you know, why is everyone suffering? Why aren't they doing these Kegel, you can pronounce it either way, exercises, and just getting right into life? Well, it ends up women couldn't figure out how to do it or do it often enough. So I just tried to solve for that. Like, let's make it easy for them to do quickly and often enough, and then they can get on with the business of living. So that's how I designed and invented and patent pending this thing called Kegelbell. And yeah, I just thought, I'm not going to wait around for someone to fix this. And meanwhile, people are living and dying with these problems and not getting the most out of life. So it's basically that feminist part of me that didn't want to just do armchair, you know, philosophizing, but really wanted to get out there in the world and, you know, make a difference. I kind of reverse engineered into what needed to exist. If you look at the research, so I think this is a really great place to start when you're making something. Look at the research, look at where the feedback from patients or customers or shows that there's a problem. And then when they articulate the problem really clearly, then you know what needs to exist. what you need to make. So in other words, a clearly articulated problem starts to outline the thing that needs to exist. And so from there, I just designed and drew a better vaginal weight system. And based on the feedback of customers saying this didn't work, or this wasn't great, or that was a problem with existing technology. And then I went to a trade show and tried to get people at the trade show to modify their products, and they were not interested. And so then, out of frustration, I was at like a crossroads. Okay, do I wait around for other people to figure this out and fix it, or am I going to be the one to step up and just roll up my sleeves and figure out how to make this thing? And at that trade show, I ran into a doctor of engineering, and I told him what I was considering as a result of being at that show, and he said he would help me. And he knew a manufacturer, and he could help with the technical drawings. And so we did the back of the napkin, cocktail napkin kind of deal. And later I took a train to his little town in Germany, and we talked it over, Asian food, very hot Asian food, I recall. And I got out the napkin and the drawing. I said, okay, are we going to do this? And we decided, yeah, we will. And we haven't looked back. And so that was how that improbable partnership. But for me, the big leap was, oh, really, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure out manufacturing. I'm going to figure out design, development, FDA registration. I'm really going to do all this. And, step at a time. Yeah, you do it. Right. So I went through a prototyping phase, and that was a lot of fun. So I'm in Arizona, and I went to this innovation center for entrepreneurs at a local community college. I think it's called the Center for Entrepreneurial Innovation, because I heard that they were working with a group called PADT to do prototyping. And so I went there and talked with them, and they said I was a little too early stage for them, but they sent me to an incubator called SeedSpot. And so that's where I went with this idea phase and having these connections, but not sure how the steps would go and how, to make it. And at SeedSpot, they taught me, okay, you need to prototype and ask questions of people and survey them and get feedback and then reiterate the design. And moreover, while you're doing that, learn about the words you're going to use when talking to the customer and when marketing to them. I mean, marketing is just another word for communicating. So how are you going to communicate to the customer? So I got a connection through SeedSpot. If you just network, you'll find them. And I had the prototypes made at an ASU kind of maker lab. I don't think that maker lab exists anymore. I think ASU dismantled it. But it was a really groovy place where you just go and build things. And so we built out, I want to say 50 prototypes and had people test them. And I had a lawyer draw up the paperwork that I met from SeedSpot and just did it, the right way. And then from that information, we realized the design was too confusing for people. So we had to do new designs. And then I learned how complicated it is making changes to physical objects when you're building molds and prototypes. So anyone out there who is working on a physical product, be mindful to work out as many things in advance as you possibly can, because if you change something when you're at mold making stage, that can add 6 months and a ton of money. So, it becomes a very long process. Meanwhile, the world isn't standing still, and you lose money with every day. So, that was something I'd just like to share with people who are thinking about starting a physical product. Well, when I started out, people said that's taboo. No one's going to talk about it. No one's going to buy it. But oh my gosh, that was really wrong. I mean, I knew if the problem was that ubiquitous and there's that much of a pain point, people wanted it and they would buy it. And sure enough, they did. I mean, it was, we didn't have much money at all for marketing. So with word of mouth and people just liking it and people being excited about it when they heard it and buying it. I mean, I should say, we had a waiting list that people were waiting 4 months. They'd pay for it in advance and wait 4 months to get it. So there was a demand. And our first year, we did, how should I measure it? This year, so our second year, we're 200% above what we were last year. And sales are continuously growing, and we have to grow organically because we don't just have a budget to throw at it. So I have to break even, I have to grow organically. So that's pretty stupendous growth from what I'm told that's out there, especially with our meager means to communicate that we exist out to the world. So all of our like conversion rates and our customer satisfaction and our low return rates and the rate at which people buy it when they hear about it are stunningly good. So we know that at this point, I just kind of have to put more gas in the engine and we can go faster and further. Well, it's the time money problem. It's going to take more time if you have less money. And then the time problem involved with going out and finding more money. So, that was a negative, but what became a positive is me figuring out how to get this product to market, get it built, get inventory, get the whole thing done from A to Z on just $360,000, where normally it takes 20 to 90 million to get a medical device to market. So I learned really how to stretch a dollar, and I think that's going to be a good life lesson throughout this business cycle. So yes, it was a challenge, but I think it's made us stronger and more nimble, and we have an even better story to tell about what we can do and what's possible. Because it was improbable on so many levels, and then you just add the low budget, the little money we had to work with made it even more unlikely that it should exist. So now that we've overcome all these obstacles, I think that we can show people that, it's the customer demand that made this exist, and that's what's going to make us grow, and that's why we're a good bet for the future. I am having a really great time with product development. So, part of this product, Kegelbell, is, investors would tell me, it's a one-time purchase. I mean, there's another weight for super strong overachievers, but for the most part, they don't have to buy that much over time. Replace an insert every so often, something like that. So, investors were telling me we needed more of a product line, which wasn't that important to me, but was really important to me is when customers said they wanted more from us. They wanted products to support this and products to use in tandem with it and whatnot. So in the next few months, you're going to see about 10 more products come out. And I'm really excited about that. And I tested it. I tested using someone else's products as stand-ins to see if the customers wanted to buy from us. And, they showed us that, yes, absolutely, they trust us and they want to buy from us. And that helped me, it kind of pushed me to say, great, the customers want it, the investors say it's wise, it'll help our growth, and I'm going to have fun making it. So I think it's just a fabulous next stage for us. I tried many years in a row to join the collective because I've been at this for a few years before we were able to actually start selling and getting revenue. Like I said, if you don't have money, it takes time. And so all that took time and prototyping, as I said earlier. So I had a lot of years, and I knew about the collective, and it had a great reputation. It has a great reputation for, attracting the best businesses and then helping those businesses, grow and kick it up a notch. And so they interview you, that you don't just get to decide and join. They have to invite you. So it's invitation only. And they were very kind and very polite at each interview, and they'd give me some advice and say, we'll check back in a year. And then, this past year, they said, you're in revenue now. You've done a lot of the things you said you were going to do that we advised you to do. So let's take it to the next level. And they invited me in, and it's been what I had hoped. I mean, the reason why I wanted to be part of the collective is I saw the quality of companies that were in it. They're local companies that are strong and with great leadership. And I saw that they were doing well whilst in the collective and, and after, with the continuing relationship. And also they would tell me, like I remember asking them, and they would say the relationships, the network, the support help these founders get through the hurdles and the tough problems that, just come one after the other. And so, I'm a lot less lonely, especially with the collective. As I said, I had no business experience, which meant I had no network. And it's just lonely. Like, who do I brainstorm with? Who do I ask for help? Who do I bounce ideas off of? And I've taken many things, every meeting, every month, I take things to the group and I walk away with answers. And hopefully I give back. And, as going forward, I really, really want to see where I can start to give back to the collective in a big way. Right now, I feel like I'm more in take mode, but it's supposed to be give and receive. So I look forward to finding ways to give. I mean, it's changing since I started 4 or 5 years ago, but my advice is, thank goodness you're in Arizona. It's a very affordable place to not make much money while you're building your company, or make any money while you're building your company. I know it's changing, the housing market's changing as I'm speaking, but it has traditionally been a very affordable place where you can stretch out and you have room, and things are a bit easier here. I also would say in Arizona that there is a massive network of people, and I didn't know any of them when I started, so it's not required to be introduced by someone. It's just, jumping in when you see the meetings posted, the Startup Week and all these different activities that you see promoted online or through the Center for Entrepreneurial Innovation, these incubators like SeedSpot, just jump right in, and then just go to everything. I know it seems like a distraction, but if you're not familiar and you're getting started, you need that network. I mean, that's how we did it on So Little Money, is by maximizing the network here. And so show up, talk to people, and listen, learn, and you can, cobble together what you need to be successful. And I would say the business world here, we talk about being very generous. And I believe that is definitely the case here.